Hey, what's up, guys? It is Rapmark here. So, doing my review for the new Disney Plus sort of series of shorts, Tales of the Jedi. So, these are essentially short stories that highlight a couple of characters from the Star Wars universe. So, that's going to be Ahsoka Tano and wow. Count Dooku. Sorry. Anyway, um, so they're pretty short. So I'm just gonna do the whole series as one thing. I know I was talking about it earlier, and I apologize for this being so late. This week's kind of been nuts. But anyway, um, so they're pretty short. They're only about like 13 to 17 minutes each. Which I mean, if you include like 3 minutes worth of credits time, that's 10 to 14 minutes. So, not too long at all. And it's very good. It tells you a very concise story dealing with and it tells still an engaging story. It's still long enough to be engaged in it, especially if you love those two characters. But not so long that you get bored or they don't mess it up. The one exception I would have to say is the first episode, but we will get into that a little bit later. Um, but yeah, it kind of deals with the two paths that they took in life. Sokotanu leaving the Jedi Order, while at the same time, for very similar reasons to Dooku. A little, I mean, obviously, it's very personalized, but you know, she just didn't believe in the Jedi Order anymore. So yeah, but yet coming back and her involvement with the rebellion, and then Dooku, his leaving the Jedi Order, um, and him ceasing to believe in it, and becoming a Sith Lord. So, I mean, first thing I'll have to say is the animation looked great. I was a big fan of this. If you like Clone Wars stuff, it's done in that style, and it looks pretty great. Um, Again, the first one, I don't know, there were some things that looked a little off, but for the most part, this series is pretty solid when it came to its animation. Everything looked good. Movement was looked like flowed, looked smooth. All the character models, they look good, and so I like that. The music, oh my gosh, the music! Like for shorts that are that long, you wouldn't figure you'd have music that would be so impactful, but no, they have a lot of music for all these episodes that sort of hit and build up certain moments, and which I absolutely loved. I mean, I was impressed with how much the music actually really added to these episodes, which, in my opinion, most of which were super great, like absolutely super great. Um, I mean, the voice acting was pretty on point. I did like that. I mean, and they really did a good job, and they really went all out. Like Liam Neeson plays Qui Gon Jinn, and his son, Liam Neeson's son, actually plays young Qui Gon Jinn, and like it was great. It was absolutely great, And then Corey Burton as Count Dooku, which I believe is the same person who voiced him in the Clone Wars. I want to say yes. Let me see. Television, Clone Wars. Da, 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 da. Oh my gosh, and he also played Cad Bane in Book of Boba Fett. Oh, that shit show. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. He has a very long thing, and I don't want to, get too stuck on that. Regardless, I mean, he did a great job, uh, and just the way he looks, it shows him aging throughout all three of these until you get to the point where he leaves the order, and yeah, it was super fun. Uh, you know, it has Yaddle in here, so it kind of explains that whole thing a little bit. You have Anakin Skywalker, his. So yeah, I mean the voice acting was super spot on. I really had no complaints about it. Um, and again, I when I first watched the trilogy, I was just like, "This is great," because I was pretty young then. Not super young, like I was at least a teenager, but then like the first one I was all hyped about, but then like as they went on, I'm just like, man, these things are like not that great. And now I'm at the point where it's just like, especially after the Star Wars sequels, like I can watch them, and they're actually interesting. And there's a lot of interesting characters in that prequel sort of era, which I'm a super fan. So I actually love some of the stuff they come out with that, like Clone Wars again. Um, Resistance. Stuff detailing the rebellion beginning, but at the same time, they. Wow, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, but no, I love all the projects they've done from that era. They've just added so much to the lore and added so many characters that we've all grown to love. Let's be honest. If you are a Star Wars fan, great stuff. Um, yeah, I think that is. The writing was good. Yeah, casting, animation, music. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all that can be said about that for right now. So, what would I give this? For this series, I'm probably going to give it a 9. I mean, this is super good stuff. You should watch it. I was kind the first episode I would say is kind of, but I mean, I guess it kind of does make sense and can't. It just, I don't know. It seemed a little off to me, poorly written, and like I get what they were trying to do. It just didn't go well in execution. So anyway, let's go on to some episode breakdowns, and we'll go ahead and do that. So the first one, Life and Death. Um, it deals with the birth of Ahsoka Tano, um, and as at a year old, she's taken on a hunting trip with her mother. I mean, I guess that's based on like Native American stuff, but I mean, at the same time, like a laser blaster with a baby in the front pouch. That seems a little strange to me. Um, and then like she kills a sort of deer-like creature, goes to hunt it, and it's all about like I guess normalizing life and death and just I mean I get it and I'm not gonna like give it too much shit on that. It just seems really it just seemed really off to me. So anyway, so she a large sort of like tiger like thing comes and sneaks up behind her. She attacks it, and then there's this fight. The villagers they come and they shoot at it, which doesn't really do much. Um, and I'm wondering if like she was the one who got the cuts on its arm because it has a couple of cuts on its arm. I don't know how it got there. She was able to shoot at it at least a couple times. So I mean, if it's from that, then it's just like, what kind of gun did she have? Whereas what were the villagers using? Because they were blasting this thing, and it didn't do nothing. It did jack shit to this creature. So anyway, it runs off though. It's clearly outnumbered. Grabs the baby like very gently and by like the clothing. It's just that's it's not how animals work. If you're a predatory creature, you grab the neck, it shakes it so it breaks its neck. Like that's so it's a bit contrived in my opinion, in that respect. And then it takes it back to its lair. It's licking its wounds. Ahsoka sneezes, and it's getting ready to eat her. And she touches it, and it allows her to sit on its back. Uh, and then takes her back to the village, and it's just like, wow. I mean, I get that Filoni loves Ahsoka Tano, but it really comes off as like you really don't need to try to make her this awesome at this age. Everyone's wondering like how is she able to do that, and the old wise woman is just like elder woman is just like she's Jedi. So I mean, and that I can get. I do know that there are a lot of Jedi who manifest their powers as babies or very young children. But man, this it just seemed way over the top, and I was not impressed. Uh, just yeah. So uh, and that's that. So what do I give this one? Um, Not great. I almost. I mean, it was too short for me to say that I didn't want to continue watching, but like it was that level of like non enjoyable for me. It was just like this is what are you doing? What are you doing? This is Dave Filoni. What are you doing? Anyway, so yeah, I mean you can skip that one if you want, or you can watch it. I mean it's only I don't know how long. It's again between 10 and 14 minutes. These aren't that long, so it's whatever. But now every other episode after this just nails it. And I loved it. So you have Justice. So you have uh, a young Qui-Gon Jinn who is his Padawan at who is Master Dooku's Jedi Master Dooku's Padawan at the time. So they're there to negotiate for and try to retrieve a senator's kidnapped son. Um, and as it turns out, the senator's corrupt. He's not doing what he's supposed to. He's just milking his position, and his people are starving. And so yeah, I mean they go into this bar, like everyone's closed in. They go into the bar and they realize that all these villagers, they're the kidnappers. Because again, they want to be noticed. And the senator's son, he's just like, man, how could you do this? Like, or how, or no, not, how could my father do this? And he felt genuinely bad. Um, so the senator, he finds someone who's starving, and she sells out the conspirators essentially. Um, and there's a line of like, "You serve the Senate," and Dooku is just like, "No, we serve the people." So he attacks, he shoots, people are shot, and then something. Trying to remember what it is, but Dooku is just so infuriated that he literally blasts the guards, throws them away, and then starts force choking the senator. Saying that, corruption like yours needs to be eradicated. Because this guy's a piece of shit. Like, and Qui-Gon is just like, stop. He pushes him away, gets the senator's son, and lets him go essentially to save his father, which he does. And but then they go away, and it's just like the senator's looking really bad. The son like admonishes him. It's just like, how could you do this? And so I don't know what good would come of this. Like, that did it actually change? Is the son now the senator? Like, I don't know. But yeah, that's sort of where his path started to go, because it's just like the Jedi they're being stupid. They're protecting these rich, corrupt senators who are abusing their people. And yeah, honestly, I would have been all about killing that guy because he was a total scumbag. But whatever. So this one, I give this one solid 9. Yeah, I absolutely loved this one. Music was great. Loved the dialogue, and I loved the sort of relationship it establishes between him and Qui-Gon. All right, so now we go to 3 choices. So Count Dooku and Mace Windu are sent to retrieve the body of a Jedi who is a council member as well. So Dooku wants to investigate what happened, whereas Mace Windu wants to, just follow the rules, and I'm just like, like, oh, he was so insufferable in this episode. I loved him in Clone Wars. I loved him in the prequel trilogy. But man, in this episode, he was kind of insufferable. So anyway, they go out and they're examining where the senator was killed, because even after some questioning, even Windu realizes that they're hiding something. So they go out into the forest. They discover that, wait a second, all these blast marks are coming from the ship. Whoa, what's going on here? And the senator, he freaks out and is just like, the guard shot him. And he immediately gets shot and killed. And then then the guards and a bunch of droids come attack from the trees, and it's, they deal with them, and there's two left. The first one doesn't want to surrender. He's just like, that they support these corrupt, again, senators, because apparently he was essentially selling the planet piece by piece while he lived in Coruscant. And yeah, this probably happened a lot, unfortunately. So the Senator's Guard killed the Jedi, and then they took the Senator sort of and were going to force him to bow to their agenda. And then they're subdued. There's only one that's taken alive. And then later you go to the funeral of the council member, and Dooku is passed over for a member of the High Council, and instead it goes to Windu, and he asks, did you know about this when we left? And he's just like, I was in the same ship you were. No, I had no idea. And he was just like, they promoted me because of my handling of the situation. But when told why he was passed over, it's because they did not condone the methods that led to a senator being killed. Just like he found out what happened to the, yeah. So it's just like, you know what, Jedi, you're stupid. You are absolutely stupid. And once again, his faith is shaken in the order. You get a sense of, you actually get the sense of resentment, and it's just like, what? Yeah. So yeah, we move on from that, and that one I think also gets a very strong 9 for me. What do we got next? The Sith Lord. So it takes place with events of Star Wars Episode 1. So a big, question is answered here. As of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Dooku had not left yet. It's just like, he was still walking around using his passcode. He had, at this point, killed Master Sifo-Dyas. And gotten the clones, and so it shows him erasing Kamino using Sifo-Dyas's code, and he erases the existence of Kamino, which is just if it's not in the archives, it does not exist line in the first episode, which is just or not in the first, but the second movie. And it's just ugh, why? Is it in the first? No, it is in the second. Okay. I'm non-crack. So anyway, he's betrayed the Order at this point. But he's not yet a Sith Lord. He's just someone who's trying to bring order and justice to the Republic. So Qui-Gon informs the High Council of the encounter with Darth Maul on Tatooine, and that is the last time he sees Dooku, who tells him the Council's not going to take him seriously, and they don't. Not surprisingly, just oh, what an imagination he has, And Yaddle's there is just we're going to take caution and all that. And then, after Qui-Gon's death, like, and this is like really, really deep, and like you can feel the heaviness and sadness in Dooku from this. Like he goes to a tree and Yaddle finds him there, and he talks about how because he'd always grown up in Coruscant, he'd never known anything like this tree, so he was fascinated by this tree, and he would always take him there when he was a child. And now that he's gone, he's just like that's the only thing that really kept him anywhere in the light side, because he at this point he wasn't, again, he wasn't a Sith Lord yet, but he was clearly serving Darth Sidious, aka Senator Palpatine. So Yaddle, she feels something weird as he walks by. So, and he doesn't want to go to the funeral. It's just like, I would be in bad company. I don't trust these guys. I don't want to be there. And yeah, at this point, I don't blame him, because his death was largely on them, because they didn't believe him or take him seriously. So anyway, he goes off and he meets with Darth Sidious. Yaddle follows, and man, it's just like, why? So after she hears them talking, she jumps out, and it's just like, tries to persuade Dooku to go back. And it's, again, like, why would you not just walk away? But anyway, and he's clearly upset. Like, he's mad at Sidious. Like, he's just like, you went too far. You allowed Qui-Gon to be killed. He's just like, you lost an apprentice, I lost an apprentice, because Darth Maul was killed as well. And at this point, he doesn't have Qui-Gon anymore. So yeah, there's nothing holding him to the Jedi at this point any further. So he's just like, it's too late, and attacks her. And the music of this fight was just, mwah, it was beautiful. And now they fight to the point where he is able to knock her into the doorway. It shuts. You think, oh, she's squished. But no, she uses the Force, pushes it up for whatever reason, And Sidious, he's not known at this point, so he doesn't want her to see him. But I mean, this whole like bright light, and then she's always walking in the light, whereas Dooku is always going into shadow. And that's, like, the symbolism was great. Tropey as hell, but tropey, I don't mind a little tropey if it's well done. And this was well done tropiness. So anyway, she falls down, and he kills her. And so that answers the question of Yaddle. Yep, Jedi Master Yaddle. So she was killed literally right after Qui-Gon was killed, sometime after Episode 1. And that answers actually a big question I've had, and I'm sure a lot of other people have had, about where she was, because I think she was in the first movie. I need to watch it again. It's been a minute since I've watched it, but I believe she was, and then she just disappeared. So anyway, Yaddle's killed to preserve the secret, and it solidifies his fall to the dark side. He pledges allegiance to Sidious and becomes his apprentice, and that's where that comes from. So this one I'm giving another solid. I'm giving this one a 10. This one was pretty damn good. This one was damn near perfect. So 10 to 10 for me on that. All right, and then the last two deal with Ahsoka Tano again. So practice makes perfect. So she's doing a battle simulation. And, no effort, does perfectly fine. So Anakin goes down to Rex and his company, and essentially with all guns to stun, just like, all right, have at it. And she's just knocked out over and over and over again by stun guns. But, again, time passes, and again, as she practices more, she's able to stand for like 5 minutes, and then longer and longer, until eventually you get to where you hit that point during Order 66 where she has to go through like the room full, assembled clones, and she does that masterfully. And so this sort of answers how she was able to get to that level. Because some people, I think, complained that was kind of OP, but it's just like, no, if she was practicing that much, because Anakin really loved her, like, as a student. Like, he really cared about her. So, yeah, he wanted to make sure that she had the best training to be able to fight the best she can, including in defense. So that exercise saved her life. And it was awesome. This one I would definitely give a 9. And then Resolve. So number 6. So this deals after Padme Amidala's death and the fall of the Republic. So the Empire is there. Clone troopers are still a thing. She goes to the funeral, runs into Bail Organa, and he goes into a place that I guess he's not supposed to be, to try to talk her into not running away but joining, and gives her a communications device. They come, and he's like talking to her while pretending to talk to them. And then heads off. So she keeps the device, and then she heads out. She's hiding amongst a bunch of farmers. And so there's a brother and a sister and a dad, I think. The dad and the sister, not anti-imperial, like not openly, but it's just like, but the son is just like, they brought order and peace, and it's just like, dude, you are so confused. Ooh. And anyway, a thing falls over, and it's going to crush the sister. She uses the Force to push the hay out of the way. So the sister knows, But while she talks to her at night, thinking that she's alone, the brother overhears. And then as they're going to the market to sell whatever it is they're selling, he's just like, "May the force be with you," and she's just like, "Oh man." So they go, they sell the stuff, and then when they come back, the brothers sold her out. Their village is burned. They killed everyone in this village except for the brother, sister, and the dad. And they're dealing with a inquisitor, the sixth brother. So from what I'm reading, this episode loosely adapts to the events of the 2016 novel Ahsoka. So I'm assuming that is the character. I have not read that book, so I'm assuming that character is in that book. Um, and it is played by the ever imperious voice of Clancy Brown, which again, perfect. Anyway, so after after the brother realizes that he done fucked up, that he's just naively pro Empire, even though they don't give a shit about him, and they don't. Um, she fights, and she's so good that without a lightsaber, she just takes his lightsaber, cuts his head off with it. It was pretty awesome, to be honest. It looked really good. Um, and he's just like, "You're supposed to be dead." So before his head gets cut off. Sorry. But yeah, before she got, it's like as he's going toward her, the Inquisitor, he is just like, "You're supposed to be dead," because he realizes who she is. And then she like dodges his attacks, grabs his blade, and then it cuts his head off with it. And so she uses the communication device that Bale get her to get the three people out of there because they can't stay there. The farm's ruined, and then the Empire will probably be back and kill them all anyway. So he goes, takes them somewhere safe, and she joins the rebellion, and that's where her place in oh god, what is it called? Resistance, I think. It'll come to me at some point, I guess. But anyway, yeah, in the animated series where it deals with again the start of the rebellion. So yeah, this one was super tropey as well, but I did like it. But there was also just a lot of I don't know. I'd still give this one a 9. Like, there's not really anything I complained about too much. I mean, it was super tropey as hell, and because of that, it was kind of predictable. I was thinking of giving it an 8, but no, it was still really, really well performed, really well executed. So a 9 as well. So once again, with the exception of the first episode, which drags it like otherwise I would have given this thing the whole series a 10, but the first episode just drags it down a point, so it sticks with a 9. This episode is a 9, but no, this is super fun again, especially if you love the characters of Ahsoka Tano and Count Dooku, because it goes into some depth about these characters, and that it's how layered they actually are and how they actually got to the point to where they're at now. So anyway, that is my review for this series of shorts. To be honest, I wouldn't mind if they did more of these because, again, these were fun stories. They were full stories. They didn't feel too short, and yeah, well performed. Just they were good, with the exception of the first one. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing this from other characters. So anyway, that is it for me. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.